लेवल ऑफ डिस्ट्रेस, अगर आपको जोक पसंद नहीं आया तो सबसे पहले आप नेक्स्ट लेवल इज एक्सक्यूज मी दिस इज वेरी बैड. थर्ड लेवल इज एफ आई आर. तन्मय. फोर्थ लेवल इज तन्मय बट हाय तन्मय बट हाय तन्मय बट. फिफ्थ लेवल इज ऑल ऑफ दीज फॉर्म्स और प्रोटेस्ट आर यूजलेस. मैं खुद को समर्पित करना चाहता हूं. इट इज टाइम टू गो माई फ्रेंड्स. इट्स अ बिट मच.
I've been uploading content on this platform since 2015. Ever since I graduated college, I have been noticing its evolution both from a creator standpoint as well as an audience. Every 3 or 4 years or so, there is a brand of content that gains a lot of attention, phasing out to lead to the rise of another genre. So when I was only a viewer and in college, the space largely boasted of commentary, parody videos or skits executed by the likes of AIB, TVF and Kanan Gill. But as the uproar against the AIB roast took center stage in 2015, the space saw a rise of commentary and reaction videos, where a lot of the comedy and comments were presented with a very not safe for work language. This was, by the way, the wild wild west of YouTube India, where one could possibly do the most provocative content and still run ads on those videos and be largely undetected or come under the purview of criticism. This, of course, did not last long, as the apocalypse happened in 2017, where YouTube as a space was criticized heavily for having offensive content and ads running on those same videos, leading to brands taking back their investments and almost leading to a huge overhaul in the space where family friendly content only was to be promoted. This led to many creators having to change their strategy to thrive, and you saw the rise of many family vlogs and children's content that in turn were pushed by the algorithm. While being a keen observer as a viewer and a content creator, I have noticed that the life of a creator is of survival and in turn thriving based on what the environment is like. If you do not evolve or pivot, you can easily become irrelevant. I was the biggest fan of the AIB renaissance that happened from 2013 to 2016 in this space because I was a viewer in college. I was mostly observing content being produced in the West. I would be watching regular movie reviews with Jeremy Jahns and Chris Tuckman, and for entertainment would largely be watching PewDiePie and KSI. So for someone who wanted to make a name for themselves in the space, I could see AIB largely doing what I hope for from Indian creators. Speak about the problematic aspects of us as a nation culturally and socially with the help of satire and comedy, which the mainstream media would never focus any attention on. What always happens when someone is on the epitome of success in terms of engagement and actually becoming a talking topic beyond the digital space is that you draw attention from those who are not even your core audience. Please remember this, and this will be a consistent theme of this video, is that digital creators, especially if doing work that garners a lot of attention from mainstream or legacy media, will always be observed as disruptors. Individuals that are taking away the audience from these boomers in the idiot box, annoyed of the fact that such a transition of viewership has taken place. While one acknowledges why the mainstream media always froths in the mouth begging for the downfall of digital creators, on the flip side, one must also realize the inevitable doom that also comes with such massive success. What I have noticed whenever a digital creator is at the top of their game in the space where everyone is looking at him or her garnering the most views, engagement, and attention, creators often get obsessed with one-upping themselves. You become a slave of not only the algorithm, but the success of the last episode, and subject yourself to strategizing on how possibly one can become more viral. This often leads to you testing the lines of what can lead to not only the funniest moment, but also lead to the highest amount of shock value. I remember the likes of Logan Paul in his vlogging prime, or David Dobrik when he used to post shocking vlog content. You knew the creators felt so invincible with all the attention they were getting, they wouldn't think twice about pushing the limit if it were just serving the purpose of garnering more attention. So when influencers who are not comedians do join a show like India's Got Latent, which was Ranveer, they also are thinking about contributing viral moments to the show that will lead to more engagement. And this in turn can catch the attention of people who will make it their sole mission to cause the entire infrastructure's downfall due to that one moment. AIB was at an all-time high regarding its popularity and viewership, so much so that it was showered with brand deals, streaming show offers, and a huge interest from Bollywood. And when a roast does happen with mainstream faces, all eyes and attention are on you. And when I look back at the content that was presented in that particular event, there were several remarks regarding one's complexion, religion, and weight that can be seen as problematic and extremely offensive. While it still pales in comparison to the lines crossed in the international roast hosted with mainstream Hollywood celebrities, one also got the reality check that the lines are not the same across continents. While I did not agree with several of the gags expressed in that particular event, much like India's Got Latent, whose humor is not for me, I am reminded what Manoj Bajpayee once said regarding content and censorship, and how it can be a slippery slope if one demands action.
In a society where you want films to be shown for everybody, you can be critical of it. You can be critical of the character. When you are writing it, you can write your point of view. You can't be of the opinion that you should not be making this film, because there are 50 films that you agree with, there are other segments don't agree with. It's a bad precedent.
One can be critical of a gag, absolutely shame someone for saying it, unfollow them eventually, stop watching them, and essentially hit them where it hurts, which is their monetary incentive, views. But when it leads to official bodies, politicians, and the country's resources all being channelized to put these same individuals in the rigmarole of court hearings and possible jail time, is where one must introspect on whether the act, intentional or unintentional, matches the outcome. I remember Amir Khan strongly opposing the manner in which the AIB roast was conducted. While Amir can have this take regarding the format of the show and disagreeing with it wholeheartedly, even condemn it, I know very well he does not want the comedians to experience jail time for the same. You can hate someone's joke, like Ranveer's throwaway stolen would you rather that has been used countless number of times in other shows. I personally don't find it funny. I personally find it to be hacky. You can criticize it, condemn it, troll him for the same. But calls for him to serve jail time for the same, the mob burning his effigies, is reflective of emotions being at an unprecedented high where every form of objectivity goes out of the window. When the mob is angry in unison, when they feel passionately about causing someone's downfall, pragmatism is the last thing that one resorts to. And it's only after some time passes that he or she reflects that they were extremely emotional and unreasonable when tempers were at an all-time high. I remember after Sushant Singh Rajput's passing, the mainstream media made it their sole mission to villainize everyone in the industry. And think about this practically, okay? They picked up a game like Hook Up, Marry, Kill from Coffee with Karan and actually equated someone choosing the option of kill to equate it to an actual crime and a loss of life. This is what your mainstream media was doing. Common sense goes out of the window when you start equating frivolous options and games to actual crimes being committed in the real world. I know that Ranveer may have only served that line for shock value, knowing it's a way to stand out in the crowd that is not essentially his. But then to equate his throwaway stolen joke, which I don't find funny, to promote incest is where you start reading too much into it. No one is supporting what Ranveer said, but the outcome and action being taken for the same by official bodies is extremely exaggerated and unwarranted. You want to cancel Rebel Kid for clapping back on a terrible insult? Her reply was fully warranted to something that was vile and disgusting and was targeted at her. Ranveer having apologized after the same, and Samay having deleted all his latent videos saying that he will comply with all authorities, all of this not being enough for people is a sad state of affairs, because the quickest solution every time India sees a problem is run it to the ground. Get a JCB and tear it down. People will see the action as just and warranted. The physical act itself to remove something is more powerful in the public's mind than actually understanding the problem and creating discourse about it. नहीं, बात नहीं करनी, तोड़ दो, खत्म कर दो, बस. Making me also realize that there is a Kaleshi relative mindset in the general Indian public, seeing someone succeed and to inherently exclaim, ज़्यादा नहीं उड़ रहा ये आजकल, and revel in their downfall. You're talking about problematic content, and I have a full bloody segment on this channel talking about the absolutely socially regressive and backward themes that are promoted by movies since decades. You see the kind of content that is produced by digital streaming platforms, owned by a Padma Shri winner, by the way, themes propagated by Indian TV serials, and you think this digital parody comedy show is what is actually ruining our society? For the gazillionth time, no one is supporting or defending the joke. The outcry calling for one's arrest is being criticized. The last people who should be giving any moral lessons to all of us are these mainstream news channels. They become crusaders for the truth when it only suits them. I find it absolutely hilarious that they on prime time give us lectures on morality and ethics, where it is clear that their priorities are only on what brings them views versus reporting what is important. If the same kind of attention and swift action was being given by both the news channels and official bodies to our poor AQI, our poor infrastructure, crimes that include the horrifying Kolkata case, the Atul Subhash case, the Porsche hit and run, the recent Chhattisgarh High Court verdict about marital, I would still at least argue that our official bodies take into account everything across the board with equal vigor. But you quickly realize that our priorities as a nation are extremely skewed, where a poor and problematic joke becomes a crime and of national importance, but actual crimes themselves become an absolute joke.